He spent 10 years fighting the Trojan War, and another 10 trying to get home. The war is over. Troy is behind him. Ithaca is across the sea. Odysseus is the king of Ithaca. Before he left, he had a wife, Penelope, and a young son, Telemachus. Like every survivor of that war, he wants one thing: home. But for Odysseus, the voyage home becomes the real war. One quick map before the journey begins. Greek mythology has many epics, but only three matter here. Argonautica happens earliest. The Iliad is the Trojan War. The Odyssey begins after that war, when the man who helped win it tries to get home. The books were not written in story order. The Iliad and the Odyssey came first. Argonautica arrived centuries later. So we will not turn this into a history lecture. We will follow the story in order, from the fall of Troy to the bow that proves who has finally come home. This is Homer's ancient source story, all the way to the ending. It is not a review of Nolan's adaptation, and it does not claim to know what Nolan changes. Christopher Nolan is bringing this journey back to the biggest possible screen. Before the spectacle, here is the human story underneath it. The move that helps end the war is his. Soldiers hide inside a giant wooden horse, Troy brings it within its walls, and the Greek army gets inside. It is one of history's most famous tricks because it comes from a mind that wins by thinking sideways. After Troy falls, every surviving king wants the same thing: home. Odysseus sails for Ithaca with his fleet. On a map, it does not look impossible, but in this story, distance is not measured in miles. It is measured in storms, temptations, angry gods, and decisions he cannot stop making. The war is over, the real cost is about to begin. Homer did not originally tell this story from the beginning. The poem opens when Odysseus is already near the end of his journey. Then it circles backward through monsters, islands, and mistakes. That kind of non-linear storytelling feels modern because Nolan made it familiar to movie audiences. But Homer was playing with time thousands of years ago. For this video, we will keep it simple and go straight through. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, wants Odysseus to return. Poseidon, god of the sea, wants him punished. For Indian viewers, the broad idea of divine forces altering a human journey may feel recognizable. But this is not a one-to-one epic match. In the Odyssey, the gods are often personal, petty, and directly involved in the hero's bad luck. And Poseidon's anger begins inside one dark cave. Odysseus and his men first raid the city of the Cicones. Odysseus tells them to leave quickly. They stay behind for food, celebration, and loot. The city attacks back. Men die. Then they reach the island of the Lotus Eaters. Anyone who eats the lotus loses the desire to go home. No sword, no monster. Just a sweet taste that makes your old life feel unimportant. That is the first real warning of the Odyssey. The enemy is not always the sea. Sometimes it is forgetting why you wanted to return in the first place. Then they walk into the home of a monster. Inside the cave are sheep, cheese, and food. Odysseus's men say, "Take what we need and leave." Odysseus says, "Let us wait and meet the owner." That is the mistake. The owner is Polyphemus, a one-eyed Cyclops. He seals the cave and begins killing Odysseus's men. Odysseus cannot simply stab him. If the Cyclops dies, nobody can move the giant stone blocking the exit. So he makes a plan. He gives the Cyclops wine. When the giant asks his name, Odysseus says, "Nobody." When Polyphemus is asleep, they blind him with a burning stake. The Cyclops screams that nobody is killing him. Other Cyclopes hear him and decide there is no emergency. The trick works. Odysseus and his men escape tied beneath the bellies of the sheep. They are safe. And this is the exact moment he should stay silent. But as the ship pulls away, Odysseus cannot resist shouting his real name. Polyphemus is Poseidon's son. He asks his father for a curse. If Odysseus reaches home, let him arrive late, alone, and after losing everyone. Here is the twist. The monster is behind him. But Odysseus carries his biggest enemy, Pride, onto the ship with him. Aeolus, keeper of the winds, gives Odysseus a bag containing every wind that could blow him away from Ithaca. The safe wind is left outside. For once, the coast of home is almost visible. Odysseus falls asleep. His men think the bag contains gold. They open it. The winds explode out and the fleet is thrown all the way back into the sea. Later, the Laestrygonians destroy every ship except one. Being clever is not enough to lead people home. If trust breaks inside the group, even the sight of home cannot save the journey. The last ship reaches the island of Circe. She turns Odysseus's men into pigs. Hermes gives Odysseus a herb that protects him. He confronts Circe, frees his men, and the danger seems over. Then they stay there for a year. That is another Odyssey lesson. Not every danger looks terrifying. Comfort can delay a journey just as effectively as a storm. Eventually, Circe tells him that to find the way forward, he must visit the underworld and speak to the prophet Tiresias. There he sees his mother, who died while waiting for him to come home. This is where the story stops being a checklist of creatures. The victorious warrior finally sees what all those lost years cost the people who loved him. Tiresias gives one warning: do not harm the sacred cattle of Helios. But first, there are two sea trials where every choice hurts. First come the Sirens. Their song pulls sailors toward the rocks. Odysseus wants to hear it without dying, so he seals his men's ears with wax and has them tie him to the mast. No matter what he says, they must not untie him. He does not destroy his curiosity. He puts a boundary around it. Then comes a narrow strait. On one side is Scylla, a creature with 6 heads. On the other is Charybdis, a whirlpool that can swallow the entire ship. There is no clean victory. Odysseus chooses Scylla. 6 men die, but the ship survives. Not every heroic decision is a win. Sometimes it only decides how much you lose. A storm traps the crew on an island. Food runs out. While Odysseus is away praying, his men kill and eat Helios's sacred cattle. When they sail again, Zeus sends lightning through the ship. One by one, everyone dies. From the entire fleet that left Troy, Odysseus is now alone on a broken raft. Polyphemus's curse is almost complete. Late, alone, and without the people he promised to bring home. Odysseus reaches Calypso's island. She keeps him there for 7 years and offers him something impossible. Stay with me, and you will not grow old or die. From the outside, it sounds like the perfect deal. No war, no pain, no death. But Odysseus keeps looking at the sea and crying for Ithaca. This is the emotional center of the story. Home does not need to be perfect, it only needs to be yours. The gods finally order Calypso to release him. Poseidon sends one more storm. The Phaeacians rescue Odysseus and carry him to Ithaca while he sleeps. 20 years after he left, he is finally home. Athena disguises him as a beggar, because his palace no longer feels like his. More than 100 suitors have filled Odysseus' house. They assume he is dead. They want to marry Penelope, take the throne, and consume his wealth while they wait. Penelope cannot simply reject them, so she says she must finish weaving a burial shroud for her father-in-law before she chooses. Every day she weaves. Every night she secretly unravels it. For 3 years she delays them. Telemachus was a baby when Odysseus left. Now he is a young man searching for news of his father. When they reunite, father and son quietly plan to take back the palace. The first creature to recognize Odysseus is not a king or a warrior. It is his old dog, Argos. After 20 years of waiting, Argos sees his master once and dies. The Ramayana's homecoming is often remembered as a public return filled with light. Here, the returning king walks through his own home unseen. Same longing for return, completely different dramatic world. Penelope brings out Odysseus's bow. Her condition is simple. Whoever can string it and shoot an arrow through 12 axe heads will become her husband. The suitors cannot even string the bow. The beggar asks for one chance. They laugh. Then Odysseus lifts the bow, strings it, and sends the arrow cleanly through every axe head. In that sound, the palace understands that its real king has returned. The image of a bow test may remind Indian viewers of Sita's Swayamvaram. But the narrative purpose is different. There, the bow identifies a new bridegroom. Here, The bow reveals a husband who has come back to reclaim a stolen home. Odysseus and Telemachus fight the suitors. The ending is not gentle. A man returns from one war and finds another waiting inside his own house. Even then, Penelope does not accept him immediately. She tells a servant to move their bed outside. Odysseus protests. That bed was built around a living olive tree. Only the two of them know that secret. Finally, he is recognized, not by power, but by a shared memory of home. So the Odyssey is not really a monster story. It is a story about the price of pride, the pull of home, and what happens after a war when the survivor has to become a person again. Some emotions may echo stories from other epic traditions: waiting, exile, gods, family, a test that changes everything. But Odysseus is not an untouchable ideal hero. He survives many disasters through intelligence and invites many others through ego. Knowing Homer's story does not make Nolan's version less interesting. It makes the real question sharper. What scale, order, and point of view will he choose for this ancient journey? For more big movie stories made simple, subscribe to Real Bharat. And tell me, which myth, epic, or film story should we unpack next? The mind that helped him win Troy was also the pride that kept him away from home for 10 years.